All right, we will continue with our discussion on binge eating. Thus far, we've talked about how the cycle looks. I shared with you real world examples of what binge eating looks like. I've shared with you how I started to tweak my diet to be supportive of binge eating in my weight loss journey. And now, what I want to talk about is probably the thing that I see as the most disheartening about recovering from binge eating, which is the inevitable fact that you will binge even after a very long streak of not binging. And that is heart-wrenching for so many reasons. And I remember just having to calm myself mentally and say, it's okay, Heather. You've gone days or weeks without these binges, or maybe I just skipped a day. Like when you first start, if you were in a situation like I was, maybe just one day that you skipped a binge is a huge victory, right? And what I had to do was put aside this belief that if I went a 7-day cycle without binging or 5-day cycle without binging, that I was somehow cured or that it was never going to happen again. Because what I would view that as was I failed horribly. Obviously, I'm destined to a life of nonstop binge eating. And what I realized was letting go of binge eating is a very slow fade out. It can take years. It can take, long time. It really can. It just depends on you. It depends on how long you've done these behaviors. It took me several years to get to where I was not binging at all anymore. But it was a slow fade out, right? It went from almost daily binging down to a couple times a week to then maybe once a week to a few times a month. Like we're talking, this is a very slow transition. And really what happens is the longer you go between binges, you actually are reinforcing the fact that you won't binge. Like it's actually strengthening a different part of you, right? So part of us, we binge to feel better. It's a trained behavior. A lot of us have gotten into this routine of doing it and it releases endorphins initially and we feel really good, right? Well, the longer and longer you go without doing that process, you're actually reinforcing not binging. And so it's actually a very positive thing. But what happens is we get so excited about all this progress we're making that we are kind of turning a blind eye to the fact we probably will binge again. And then when it hits us, we feel like we've been blindsided. So one of the things I tell my coaching clients as they're working on their own binge eating is when you binge again, it's going to be okay. You're going to pick yourself up. We're going to move on. You're going to have, you're going to feel a little off and that's okay. But realize that anytime you went without it is a win. It's not about it having been completely erased from your life right now. It's about reducing the frequency, reducing maybe how impactful it is. Maybe you're eating less in your binges, and ultimately seeing that is the win, not the eradication of it at first. And that is hard because we want to believe you're going to be cured right away. And it might take you years to do that. So I just want to be upfront with you on that point, and I want to brace you for that, because if you can know going into this, I might get like 14 days under my belt. Maybe that's the longest I've ever gone, and then boom, I binged. Great. Does that mean I'm just destined? No, it does not. You can totally get past this. You want to see that as just an old behavior pattern, and they will creep in from time to time, and that's okay. Expect it. And just remind yourself, what are my steps? What's my action plan? That's why I called it my post-binge plan, because if I just stuck to that, I would do so much better. So I want to encourage you to anticipate potentially having another binge while you're working on this for yourself. And this is whether you're in therapy, getting professional help or not. I don't see very many people just overnight, boom, they're no longer binging anymore. It is a slow fade out process. But I think if we have this discussion and we're prepared more mentally for that, we'll do so much better. And I think that was a huge change in my mindset. I never expected it to completely vanish. I just expected it to go down in frequency, duration, amount, and I consider those the wins. Journaling is hugely helpful for this. Really keep a good journal on what you're doing, how you're feeling. Pay attention to how much space is being put between binge episodes. Make that the victory, not the I'm not doing it anymore. That might take a long time. So I think having this honest conversation is going to help. I hope these videos are helping. If you are enjoying this content, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Tell others, feel free to share the videos. And I am going to turn out some more videos on the binge eating series just as a way to support you in your own recovery. Again, I am not a doctor, nurse, medical professional. I worked through this on my own. It did take a long time. I do try and work with my clients to help them. But if you can get professional help with this, it might expedite it and happen much quicker. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.